The funeral procession froze under the harsh midday sun when a garbage collector stepped in front of the black hearse, waving his arms and shouting with a voice cracked by panic, insisting that the woman inside was not dead. Mourners gasped, security stiffened, and the billionaire, who stood at the center of the crowd, felt his world tilt as the words echoed across the cemetery. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Touch of Kindness if you believe in kindness and second chances, because this story is about both. It was a bright, ordinary day, the kind that made grief feel almost offensive in its cheerfulness. White clouds drifted lazily above manicured grass as the funeral of Serafina Vale unfolded with practiced precision. She was known to the world as a reclusive philanthropist, the wife of shipping magnate Riven Calderon, a billionaire whose empire touched every port on the coast. To the public, her sudden death from a late-night accident was a tragedy wrapped in mystery. To Riven, it was a hollow H that refused to take shape. He stood rigid, sunglasses hiding sleepless eyes, while speeches praised a life of generosity. Yet beneath the polish of the ceremony, something felt wrong, as if the day itself was holding its breath. The interruption came from the edge of the road, where sanitation trucks idled. Elias Moore, a municipal garbage collector in a faded vest, had been finishing his route when he recognized the hearse. He had seen Serafina not in ballrooms or charity galas, but behind the hospital where discarded supplies were stacked like forgotten promises. Elias had watched her volunteer there in plain clothes, helping the injured and homeless during daylight hours when cameras were gone. Weeks earlier, he had found her collapsed near the dumpsters, alive but barely, others cawing about dizziness and fear. He had called for help, and she had been taken away quietly. When he heard of her death days later, the story did not fit the woman he had seen breathing, struggling, alive. Elias pushed past the velvet ropes, not out of bravery, but out of duty to the truth. Security hesitated, startled by the conviction in his eyes. The coffin lay closed, gleaming, as sunlight flashed across polished wood. Riven's heart hammered as memories collided with doubt. He had trusted the doctors, the reports, the carefully worded explanations that allowed him to bury his grief and move forward. But grief is fragile, and doubt is louder. When the coffin was opened under the unforgiving noon light, time seemed to slow, and the collective breath of the crowd turned into a stunned silence. Inside, Serafina's chest rose, shallow but undeniable. The stillness had been a cruel illusion, a misdiagnosis born of haste and pressure. Paramedics rushed in, sirens cutting through birdsong, and the cemetery transformed into chaos. Riven collapsed to his knees, tears soaking the grass as relief, and shame wrestled within him. He realized how easily wealth could speed things along, how authority could silence questions, and how close he had come to losing the person who had taught him the meaning of quiet kindness. As Serafina was rushed to the hospital under the bright sky, the truth unraveled. A rare condition had slowed her vitals, mistaken for death by an overworked night staff eager to avoid scrutiny. Elias's simple act of attention had undone a catastrophic mistake. In the days that followed, daylight streamed into a hospital room, where Serafina recovered, and Riven sat beside her, humbled. He listened as she spoke of wanting her work to matter beyond headlines, of how dignity often lived in places people refused to see. Riven changed. He redirected funds from vanity projects to hospital training, worker protections, and community clinics. Elias was offered rewards he never sought. Instead, he asked for better equipment and fair wages for his team. Changes that arrived swiftly and publicly. The city felt different under the same sun, as if honesty had cleared the air. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that one person paying attention can save, please take a moment now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Touch of Kinness. Your engagement helps stories like this reach those who need them most. And before the ending, leave a comment sharing a moment when kindness changed your life, because your story matters too. On another bright afternoon weeks later, Serafina walked through the city. She loved, alive, steady, and grateful. Elias returned to his route, unseen by many, but remembered by those who knew the truth. And Riven learned that wealth could build monuments, but courage and compassion could resurrect hope in the full light of day.